Joshua Slocum, the man who sailed alone around the world. Introduction. Joshua Slocum was the first person in history to sail alone around the world. He made this great journey more than 100 years ago, between 1895 and 1898. He used a small wooden boat called the Spray. At that time, most people did not believe it was possible to do such a thing alone. Many people said he would die at sea. They thought it was crazy and too dangerous. But Joshua had spent most of his life on ships. He was an expert sailor and loved the ocean. He wanted to show the world that it could be done. His journey became famous, and his story inspired many people around the world. Today, sailors still read his book and follow his route. Early life. Joshua Slocum was born in 1844 in Nova Scotia, a coastal area in Canada. He was the fifth of 11 children. His family lived near the sea, and Joshua loved the ocean from a very young age. He learned to fish and row boats as a boy. When Joshua was 14 years old, he left home to work on a ship. He traveled to many countries as a young sailor. He saw the world and learned many languages. By age 25, he became a ship captain. He married and had children, and he worked as a sea captain for many years. But later in life, times became harder. His wife died, and his career slowed down. He had little money and no ship to command. In 1892, a friend gave him an old fishing boat. It was in poor condition, but Joshua saw an opportunity. This boat would become the Spray, and it changed his life. The idea to sail alone. Joshua decided to rebuild the Spray with his own hands. He worked on the boat for over a year. He repaired the wood, added sails, and made a small cabin to sleep in. He did not use an engine, only wind power. After fixing the boat, he had a dream. He wanted to sail around the world alone. At the time, no one had done it before. People laughed at his idea. They said it was too hard and too dangerous. But Joshua believed in himself. He made plans, studied maps, and packed food, books, tools, and water. His boat was only 11 meters, 36 feet, long, but he trusted it. The Spray was strong and steady. Joshua was ready for the greatest trip of his life. The journey begins. 1895. On April 24th, 1895, Joshua left from Boston, Massachusetts. He sailed through the Atlantic Ocean. His first stop was the Azores, a group of islands west of Portugal. From there, he went to Gibraltar, then to the Canary Islands and Cape Verde. He crossed the South Atlantic Ocean to South America. He visited ports in Brazil, Uruguay, and Argentina. In each place, people welcomed him. He talked to locals, shared his story, and fixed his boat when needed. He wrote everything in a diary. He described the sea, the people, and his feelings. Later, this diary became his famous book. Facing danger. Sailing alone was very difficult. There were many storms, strong winds, and giant waves. Joshua often had to stay awake all night to guide the boat. Sometimes he tied the steering wheel so he could sleep for short periods. In one storm, a wave hit the Spray and broke part of the deck. Joshua had to fix it with wood and rope. He had no radio, no help, and no weather forecast. He depended only on his skills and experience. Near the coast of Morocco, pirates tried to approach his boat. Joshua used a smart trick. He placed clothes and hats on sticks to look like other men were on board. The pirates were afraid and left him alone. Life alone on the ocean. Joshua spent months alone at sea. He watched the sun rise and set over the waves. At night, he used the stars to help him navigate. He ate canned food, biscuits, beans, and fish he caught. He drank water from barrels in rain. He cooked with a small stove and kept the Spray clean and organized. He saw many sea animals, dolphins, whales, flying fish, and seabirds. He enjoyed their company and sometimes wrote poems about them. He read books during calm days. He also talked to himself to stay alert and not feel too lonely. Even though he was alone, He felt free and happy across the Indian and Pacific Oceans. After sailing around South America, Joshua crossed the Indian Ocean. He stopped in South Africa, then continued to Australia. In Australia, he gave public talks about his journey. Many people came to hear him. He became famous there. He then sailed to Papua New Guinea and the Philippines, and later to Japan. From there, he crossed the Pacific Ocean, heading back to the Americas. This part of the journey was long and hard, with big waves and strong winds. But the Spray was a good boat. It never let him down. Home again. 1898. After over 3 years and more than 74,000 kilometers, Joshua arrived back in Newport, Rhode Island, on June 27, 1898. He had completed the first solo circumnavigation of the Earth. People across the world were amazed. Newspapers called him a hero. He was now more than 50 years old, but full of energy. He continued to give talks and write about his experiences. The book, Sailing Alone Around the World. In 1900, Joshua published his book, Sailing Alone Around the World. It became very popular. The book was full of humor, smart thoughts, and real adventures. Sailors and travelers loved it. The book is still read today. It is a classic in adventure literature. It shows how one person can do something amazing with courage and love for the sea. Legacy. Joshua Slocum became a legend. He inspired thousands of sailors. His route is still followed by many people today. He had no motor, no radio, no GPS, only sails, maps, and stars. He trusted the ocean and himself. In 1909, Joshua left for another journey, but he was never seen again. He disappeared at sea, but his story lives forever. Museums and books keep his memory alive. He showed us what is possible when we believe in ourselves. Main idea summary. Joshua Slocum proved that one person with skill, courage, and determination can sail alone around the world and inspire future generations.